We are live. Hey guys, welcome to the Shayan Show. Let's get into the show for today. We're going to talk about a couple different things that are going on in the world, some crazy things, and let's not waste any time. Let's get into it. The Cheyenne Show. So today, I was looking up some stories on Instagram and on Facebook and on Bloomberg, and there's one that really caught my eye. And it was called the $400 million Ponzi scheme that suckered San Diego. And I was like, what is this? Because I looked at the cover and it looked like almost like a Tiger King esque type of article. And it had this lady with all this flamboyant jewelry and nice clothes. And I thought that this looks interesting. So I took a read on the article and it was pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy that you know someone with high like status can easily be the next first day they look really great, everybody thinks they're amazing, and they're a high profile business person, and then the next day it's like it's all gone, you're going to jail, and everyone learns, oh, this person's a fraud, this person's a fake. So that's what happened within the story, the $400 million Ponzi scheme that suckered San Diego. Basically, the story starts off with the main character, Gina Champion Kane. All right, Gina Champion Kane is the biggest female Ponzi schemer in the history of any female Ponzi schemer. When you think of Ponzi schemes, you think of Bernie Madoff, the guy who everybody knows from a couple of years ago, who ripped everyone off, got away with it, and it's traditionally a male oriented type of field, I guess you could say. Us men, sometimes we not all of us, but I mean, unfortunately, we tend to go more into the scheming area. But in this case, it's a female. So congratulations on females for having their first Ponzi schemer. That actually, I don't know if it's the first, but it's the biggest in history. So congratulations. So Gina Champion Kane rose to the ranks of the um, elite in San Diego by becoming very big in real estate. She started her own business called the American National Investment, where she would take investments from people who had high profile, big portfolios, and she was taken very seriously. She was beautiful. Uh, she's brunette hair, and she hung out with the big boys. She smoked cigars, and she was one of those ladies that knew how to really take care of herself. She's a tough gal. And so, coming from this background, having been in magazine covers of San Diego where it's like, who owns downtown real estate? And it's a picture of her and this older guy. It's like, oh, this lady, she's really made it. She's done it for herself. She's living the American dream. She is up there. She owns property, all that. But it seemed as though something was a little off from the beginning, because people were pointing out that she had properties, but it was small stakes in small properties. So the magazines and everything, they like to spruce it up, just maybe because she was a female and it's traditionally not a female industry, which is okay. But it made her look like a major figure in downtown real estate within San Diego. It made her, they fluffed her up a little bit more than what she was. That's not to take away credit. She probably was a very hard worker, because she opened up her own Airbnbs on the beach, and these Airbnbs were pet friendly. Okay, so I mean, that's she loved it. That was kind of the thing. It was the pet friendly Airbnbs. You could bring your dog. It could pee on the couch. It could poo on the table. It doesn't matter. She's gonna let you in. And I mean, probably not the best idea to have pets coming in, but that's okay. That's her decision. Um, and so that's what happened. Is restaurants, she opened up patios, she had everything going for her. But being in the restaurant industry, she saw that it was very hard to get your liquor license. And that was kind of something that people didn't have a lot of capital for. People didn't have enough money to get started into getting their liquor license. And she said, okay, this could be a great investment opportunity. Having all her big boyfriends in within San Diego, the San Diego elite, you could call them, who had a lot of money, and wanting to make money, she said, "How about you guys give me, some money, and I could start a company where we loan money out to people who want to get these liquor licenses, and we'll have high interest but short-term loans." Okay, because she learned that it was hard to get capital to actually get one of these liquor licenses. So what happened was she had a lot of connections with big money, and these investments that she was taking were 15% return within 6 months. So that's a pretty sweet deal. You only hear about that like 15% within a year with stocks, most of them. I mean, even now, right now, the market is pretty bad. 15% within 6 months, bro, that's like 30% a year. That's amazing. That's a great deal. You got to take it. So a lot of these people, they already trusted her. They said, "Gina, we love you. Take our money. Go make us more money." And Gina's like, "No problem. We'll do." And Gina, I don't know if she's Italian, but that's a pretty Italian name. She's like, "Hey, just give me your money. You know what? I'm going to make your money back. Don't worry about it." So that's what happened. She was taking money. And what these loans were set out to do was to, give out these people who, the applicants for liquor license, it was to give them money, and so they could have enough money to get their license and come out, they'll pay interest, but at least they get their liquor license. And the early investors were really making a lot of money. And I mean, the way it worked was these these agreements were called escrow agreements, where two parties, a buyer and a seller, in this case, the seller is the people who are giving out the money, the loan, and then the buyer, the person who is getting the application, they have to come to a mutual agreement, which is the escrow, and they have to complete a certain amount of conditions before the money, which goes into the escrow. Think of the escrow as like a little box, okay? And you put the money in the escrow, and it's locked there, and no one could get the money, or like the guy can't get paid unless the agreements, the conditions within the escrow are finished. And that's managed by a third party who comes and looks at it. Saul Goodman, whatever. He says, "Okay, okay, you both did this, you both did that. All right, the money can go into the account now. Escrow is done." So that's what an escrow is. So basically, that was the business, was giving out these escrows for the liquor license, within the loans. And so, the early investors were making a lot of money, and it looked like the best idea in the world. However, the truth was that getting your liquor license only requires you to pay 5% of the escrow and only come up with the full amount once you have your full liquor license or your restaurant pops up. So the truth is, you didn't even have to, it didn't take a lot of money to put up the money for liquor license. You only have to pay 5%. So this business idea that she came up with was not actually true. People did it. There was no demand for this. They didn't even make any loans. Okay. So that's where the Ponzi scheme comes in. This is where Gina, being the Italian that she is doing some crime. I'm just kidding. Uh, Nothing against Italians, but Italians. You watch American gangster movies, like, hey, oh, you never know what's gonna happen with these guys. So, and I don't even know if she's actually Italian, so that's all a joke. But basically, a lot of the first investors were making a lot of money. And so this caught the attention of some big hedge funds and some investment companies. They said, "Listen, we're going to give you Gina, we're going to give you $100 million, okay? But we want to do our due diligence." She's like, "Oh, fuck," because this whole thing's a scam. This whole operation is bullshit. So what happens is they get an expert to come in to look into the company. The guy sees that the loan program was not funding any liquor licenses. It was all a bunch of bullshit. It was a Ponzi scheme. So what this guy does, he sees that Gina was actually forging signatures of escrow companies and the escrow officers in fabricated agreements. What escrow companies are, I described to you what an escrow is earlier. Basically, an escrow company is the firm that kind of like does the agreements, the third party that sees that if the conditions were met by both parties. Because there's three individuals involved: the buyer, the seller, and the escrow people that signed the paper off. So that is what happened. And, it came out that she was a scammer and she had taken $400 million. Okay. $400 million away from all these investors. I mean, most people lost a lot of money. And so none of it was legit. Okay, Gina took all that money away, and she used these signatures, and it was all a big joke. And the reason why people trusted her so much was obviously first her her high profile. Secondly, it was also the escrow company that was backing her. They're a legitimate company called the Chicago Title. I don't know why anyone would trust a company called Chicago Title, seeing how much of a mess Chicago is right now with Lori Lightfoot. I mean, she was probably the CEO. I don't know, but it was people trusted it because it was a legitimate escrow company. So she had managed to finesse the Chicago Title by giving gifts and nice little gifts to the people who worked there, the officers. And so they kind of turned a blind eye because they're getting baseball tickets, they're getting free money, they're getting free lunches, free restaurant, whatever, because she owned a bunch of restaurants. And bribery is basically what happened. And it all came out, and now the Ponzi queen is in jail. She's serving 15 years. She lost all her businesses, everything. Now, I mean, when you think of this story, it's like almost like the American success story, but at the same time, it's like not, because she was caught. So it's only a crime if you get caught. And I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's the way she goes. It's the way she goes. Gina, the Italian uh, Ponzi schemer. That's what it is. I'm just kidding. She wasn't Italian. But anyways, that's what happened. And I mean, hopefully that's a lesson to people who do the crime. And when you look at the court footage, she's talking about it like she's like, yeah, I was happy, I was making money for everybody. So I kind of got lost into the process, and you kind of see that she's a normal human being. Obviously very hard worker, obviously very charismatic, obviously very charming. But people like to make other people happy, and sometimes when you make a lot of money for people, you don't really care about the morality or the ethics behind how that money is made, whether it be legal or not legal. It's just that moment, that satisfaction, that window between you getting that deal done, or forging that deal because no deals were actually done, and your investors getting that money, or you making that money. That's the beauty of it, and it's a high. It's a high that you can't escape. And I mean, Gina, she was caught in the high. So what can you say? I mean, Gina, she's making money. What do you want from Gina? That's what it is. But anyways, enough with this story. We're gonna move on to some other stories with Tesla. What's going on with Tesla and Twitter? It's pretty funny because Jack Dorsey, the founder of Twitter, he left in 2021, so last year. And he hasn't been. The reason why he left is because he doesn't really agree with some of the decisions that the board of directors have been taking, and he's been pretty vocal about it on Twitter. He's moved on to like some Bitcoin company, or like he really believes in Bitcoin now. But anyways, so Jack Dorsey goes on Twitter and he says, "Look how they massacred my boy. Look how they massacred my boy." It's a Godfather reference. It's because after Vito Corleone, his son, gets killed, he says, "Look how they massacred my boy." So in this instance, his boy is Twitter. And he made the comments in response to a CNBC journalist on Twitter when he was asked if he thought the board of directors what was going on, if he thought that it was so dysfunctional and it kept the company from being great, and why he didn't do anything about it when he ran the company for all those years. And he responded with, "There's so much to say, but nothing that can be said." And Dorsey had said that Twitter's board had been the dysfunction of the company, which is what Elon Musk is dealing with right now. So I mean, since Elon Musk raised a really good point, he said since Jack Dorsey left the company, and he doesn't really quitting the company, the board of directors at the company collectively own almost no shares. So Elon is, he's making a good point here. And I mean, he said that if his bid to take over, if he said that basically on Monday, Musk took aim at Twitter directors and said if his bid takeover Twitter succeeds, then the board salary would be $0, and that would result in 3 million per share, 3 million per year being saved. So basically, he wants to say that he wouldn't pay them, and $3 million would be saved because I guess that's how much they're making. So I mean, this all comes after Twitter has said that they want to do this poison pill, which what it is an unsolicited takeover of the company by Elon Musk. And this poison pill is designed to kind of prevent Elon from, getting more power in the company. And I mean, I don't know how it's working. I don't know what's going on, but it seems that the polls are coming out and more people are in favor of Elon Musk buying Twitter than not. A poll on Twitter that was by Bitcoin Archer found that 73% of people supported the Tesla founder to buy the company. So I mean, that's people like Elon. People like him. People, they don't like the censorship that's going on. They want to have freedom of speech. They want to feel like Twitter is a safe space for everybody, not just the people that claim that they want it to be a safe space for them, which means to ban everybody. That's the people who want a safe space. They want to ban everybody, but the people who actually want a good space is the people who don't want to get banned. But it's hard to fight off misinformation, and Twitter, obviously, that's what they're kind of dealing with. But I mean, I've always said that it's better to let misinformation be on Twitter so that the good ideas could beat up the bad ideas, and you'll see the weaknesses within those bad ideas, the misinformation, and I'll be on full public display. Because if you allow if you censor misinformation, then you show the vulnerability in your company, you show the insecurity that your company has, and more people are attracted to go see what it is that you're censoring, what it is that you're banning, because it shows that you're trying to hide something. And in this case, you're trying to hide misinformation. Sure, you're hiding it because you want your platform to be clean. You want it to be a place where people can get information that's reliable. Sure, but that's it almost makes you, it discredits yourself a little bit, because it's like we don't want this information to be here, maybe because it's true. And I'm not saying misinformation is true. I'm just saying sometimes, like Dr. Robert Malone, the guy who made the mRNA vaccine, he made some comments on Twitter, boom, got banned. And I mean, listen, I'm pretty sure that guy probably has more credibility than the people who are censoring him on Twitter. I mean, about whatever comment he was making vaccine related, or based on the pandemic, because this fucking guy, man, he's been in the game. He's been 30-40 years. He's been a doctor. He made the technology within the vaccine, and then all of a sudden, bada bing, bada boom, they ban him. So I don't know. I mean, that's what happened. And I mean, so 73% of people supported Tesla. And Elon Musk, he saw the poll. He said, thank you for the support. He was happy about it. But then people are starting to criticize him. They're saying, why the fuck do you want to buy Twitter? Why don't you try to fight world hunger or build shelters for homeless people? Like, listen, that's a good point. That is a good point. I'm not going to discredit that point. But the man wants to do what he wants with his money, okay? You can't tell people what to do with their money. Okay, you could only tell them to do what they could do with their money if they're harming someone with it. If you're funding some sort of terrorist organization, then fine. Then something has to be said. But I mean, those are just opinions. Why don't you fund shelters and world hunger than buying Twitter? It's like, yes, you could do that, but at the same time, it's not like you shouldn't try to take away from what he's trying to do. He's trying to bring freedom of speech. He's trying to open the doors to a better Twitter. Like, why is that a bad thing? All these people, like, please, if you had that money, you would solve world hunger. Give me a break. You're not going to do that. You can't just solve world hunger. Sure, you could build shelters for homeless people and fund that stuff, but it's not like Elon's gonna snap his fingers and then it's gonna go away. Even if he does, they're still gonna say that's not enough. That's not enough. We want more. But so that's just the way it is in with with what's going on, and that's I don't know. I think that Elon should be able to do what he wants with his money. But aside from that, enough with the world news. Last week I filmed a commercial for a casino, and that was really fun. I had a great time. It was I got to wear a nice suit, and I'm pretty excited. It's going to come out in Quebec, and it's something I'm looking forward to. And yeah, man, it was a good time. I had a great time. I felt like ever since I was a kid, I love the movie Casino. I like uh, Robert De Niro like going around. He's saying, "Hey, get your fucking feet off the table." I just love that that vibe. But gambling itself, I'm not really into it. I like to play poker sometimes with my friends, but that's about it. I don't really get into it too much. But yeah, so I'm pretty excited for that. Watch out for that. It's gonna come out. Mm. But anyways, let's get into this now. Stream Media, Stream Studio is the perfect platform to host your podcast on. It only takes 30 seconds to go on to streamstudio.com, and all you have to do is enter your email address, which then you'll get a code to log in, and bada bing bada boom, you have a podcast. You can start your own podcast. All you need to do is go into Stream Studio and to do that 30-second process. It's so easy. I tell people, if you're such an interesting person, a lot of people are interesting. You listening right now, you're probably interesting. So it doesn't take too much effort. All you got to do is look up Stream Studio. It takes 30 seconds. You put it in your email, and then you'll get a code. You put that code in, and then you can start your own podcast. How easy is that? I'm sure people want to listen to you. I'm sure you could be a grandma, you could be a teacher, you could be whatever. You don't have to be tech savvy. I'm not tech savvy. This is the easiest thing in the world. The only hard part is kind of talking about content. But that'll come along. That'll come along. I'm still getting better at it. You'll probably get better at it faster than I am because you're better than me. I'm just kidding. You're not. I don't know. Maybe you are. But anyways, no one's better than anybody. We're all the same. So go on to streamstudio.com and use the promo code Shayan Amiri, ShayanAmiri, Shayan Amiri. Use that promo code and you can get a nice, sweet deal, and you'll be able to access Stream Studio today. So I hope you enjoyed the podcast for today. I'm going to be releasing a podcast with an interview podcast with a friend of mine who has his own clothing company called One Off. And it was a pretty good conversation. We had a lot of fun. Unfortunately, not everything recorded. It was almost like an hour long, and it was recorded with two different cameras and two different mics, because we each had a mic up to our face. But fucking, you know what happened? I was a one-man show, and technical difficulties arise. So it didn't record on anything except my iPhone, and it only recorded for 38 minutes. But we got all the good stuff. And I mean, the audio is not too bad. I'm gonna release it as an episode probably later this week or early next week, and you'll get a chance to listen to that. It's super cool, super informative. If you want to learn how to start your own clothing company and how the hype game works or whatever, this guy is at it. He's dealt with the Nelk Boys. He's dealt with fucking Travis Scott too. I know that guy's a little bit shadow banned now, but who cares? They dealt with a lot of people. So the point is, this is going to be great. It's called, his name's William Lazary, and it's going to be on next week. I'm going to be premiering it for the first time, and I'm pretty excited about it. I think you guys are going to enjoy it, and you could probably take away a couple things from there. It's just sad because he had a lot of things to say about Los Angeles and stuff, and I'm going on the trip this Friday. I'm going to LA in California, and it's going to be pretty crazy trip. But he's telling me how he went to the desert, and they try to give Travis Scott his hat, and there's a lot of crazy stories there that I'm pissed that we can't get to you. But we got the good stuff about the company, his company. So they did a ton of crazy things. They put like a one of their shirts on the bull within Manhattan. The Wall Street, the big bull there. And they're marketing geniuses, and I think they're gonna they're definitely they're gonna go far. So yeah, that was a good time that we did there. That podcast is gonna be cool. And for LA, for Los Angeles, I'm gonna be going to staying with my friend William Rossi. I know all the Williams here, right? That's a little crazy. But William Rossi, basically, he's a content creator. He has a health and wellness content YouTube channel, and he has almost 15,000 subscribers. He has almost like 300K on one of his videos, a couple of his videos. He's doing really well. He's really serious about it, and the message behind his company, it's called Sprout. Sprout, it's basically to grow and to become a better person and to do things that you're scared of doing. And he's a super bright guy, smart guy, and I'm excited to meet up with him and make some content. And we're gonna have him on the podcast right after I release the Lazary one. That one's gonna be live. It's gonna be. Don't worry, we're gonna do it on Stream Studio. The point of the story is use Stream Studio, because I didn't use Stream Studio for the podcast with One Off with William Lazary, and I got fucked. I swear. Because Stream is like it helps you. It's there. It's recording. It's live. You never know with just turning on your iPhone camera or just recording on Logic or whatever. So I'm never ever 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 going to use Logic or anything like that again for a podcast. No way. Once you go Stream, you can't go back. Once you go Stream Studio, you can't go back. But we're gonna have him next Monday, I believe. And that's going to be very exciting because he's going to share some of his insights. He's been living in Vancouver. He's traveled across all of Canada. So if you go on YouTube, look up Sprout, you'll see all his videos. He does videos about, Newfoundland. He does videos, Calgary, whatever. And he shows off the things that we don't really see, because we always hear about these mega metropolitan cities in Canada, like Toronto, Vancouver. He has a ton of content in Vancouver. But, you don't really hear about outside of Canada. And I mean, there's a ton of nature and wondrous, beautiful things there that should be really looked into. I mean, most people here listening are probably Canadian. So I mean, check his channel out, Sprout. I'm super excited. We're gonna try to make some content. I'm not gonna share too much because I don't know what's gonna happen. But we're going to Venice Beach. I feel like you're there, and the magic is just gonna come onto you. And we have some things planned, but it's better to let you guys see it for yourselves than to talk about it. Yeah, and also, last week I also went on to my friend's podcast, Liam. Liam, he actually works at Stream Media. His podcast, Watch This, is super great. It's super awesome. It's similar to this kind of, but a little more news. He's got a producer. And I called in as Donald Trump because I do the impression, and it was really fun and funny. You should check it out. I call in. I'm like, you look at what's going on with the United States is so sad, and a lot of people, So I'm kind of butchering it, but you got to check it out yourself because it's funny when you have another person on the pod. It's really helpful. So I'm gonna try to do that more with the next episodes. But anyways, aside from that, thank you for joining in for this episode, and I hope you have a great day.